What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So Dog Dark is going through this transition in a sense from being on console to moving some of his gaming to gaming PC, or maybe he wants to make the move eventually. He's mentioned how he would like to replace his Series X, get 60 FPS at the minimum, and possibly replace his PlayStation 5. But I'm not certain about his full intentions. And the last time I made a video about one of his videos that he was talking about this new acquisition of a gaming PC, he commented and said, "Hey man, go ahead and open up this whole thing. Talk to us. Don't leave us in the dark." So I don't really know where to start, Doc, but whenever I see your videos, it gives me a starting point. So you mentioned something in this video, and I thought it was very interesting. And so I thought it was an opportunity to go ahead and share with a lot of people who maybe they have some, thoughts or misconceptions about, getting a gaming PC. Because, again, some of I'll make this particular video, I'll call it my PlayStation 5 cost video, where I put just the cost of the PC and people start asking all these other questions. So how about the monitor cost? How about the chair? How about the this? And I laugh and I'm like, guys, you don't need a monitor to play on a gaming PC. You can play on your TV. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at, Doc's video, because just a little bit of it, because I think it's very interesting what he says here. And I'll break a few things down as he goes along. I don't think we're going to do all 45 minutes. We may come back, for a second part. So let's go.
To the graphics card, my PC had a strip that literally was just a power cord.
Oh, here's what he says.
Console, and the explanation that they gave to me felt like BS. I just didn't like it, so I got myself a PC. Now, what was the experience like connecting it to the TV? It wasn't difficult at all. It's the same thing as connecting a console. It's just a power cord that connects to the wall, and then an HDMI cable that connects to the TV. Now, I did find out that for whatever reason, you can either have the HDMI connected to the motherboard, or you can have the HDMI connected directly into the graphics card. My PC had a strip that literally said, "Do not connect it to the motherboard." It said, "Connect it to the HDMI card."
Now, this is a phenomenon you'll see in pre-built. Pre-built is designed for somebody who may not necessarily know all the intricacies. Now, you will see on your PC, if it's a full-size gaming desktop, mostly, not all the time, you'll notice that there are two HDMI ports. One of them is for the graphics card. The other one is for the display port from the motherboard. The CPUs usually had what was called integrated graphics. This is where the chip itself will be able to give you a display functionality as well. So thereby that HDMI cable, or back in the day, they had, like the VGA cables and others, would give you display on your monitor or your TV or whatever it is you could connect it to. That's your display screen. However, the moment they started to, they'd always been using video cards, for the longest time, but the more and more they got popular, the more and more they started getting used for different applications that could handle it. Intel kept its display functionality in the CPU, so you could still connect your display to the motherboard. The only thing was you needed your discrete GPU, which is your other graphics card, to be able to run games and applications that require GPU acceleration. So then that's where, if you need that functionality, then you plug in your HDMI to the right port. At least that's how I understand it with the Intel side from some of their older chips, their older CPUs. So AMD, on the other hand, what they did was, for most of their gaming chips, I think from the FX series, I did have an AMD FX PC at one time. I sold it to a friend of mine for very cheap. I think I built it, and then I was like, I want to go Intel. And I sold it to him for basically a giveaway. And the FX chips at the time that I know of, because that's around the time I built my first gaming PC, did not have the display port, and the HDMI port did not work. So you had to basically plug in your HDMI just to the GPU. That was just the difference. That's exactly what he's saying. I'm just breaking it down and explaining it. Until recently, AMD eventually started making some CPUs that have the integrated gaming graphics as well. So you wouldn't need a GPU for that particular gaming PC. It's just all the specs all over the place. However, the simple solution to it is, if you don't know, just plug your HDMI until you get display. That's basically all it is. But many pre-builds will have that strip on top of the motherboard if, and just tell you not to bother with it, even if they put Intel in it or not. And one thing about Doc's, PC, he mentions the specs. It's all AMD, and I know, and most of us know that they're not going to waste time integrating display graphics into the CPU. Now, with the Xbox Series X, believe it or not, its CPU is also, and the way it's actually in an SoC, has the integrated graphics in it, the AMD 4800S. So just as I was telling you that some chips will have the display graphics, that's exactly how the integrated graphics is working with, or in a sense, anyways, is working in the Xbox Series X console and most likely the PlayStation 5. They're both AMD built devices. So it's very interesting to be able to see someone who has been on console and say it's just like the console, because it is. It's very interesting just to see that transition. And so I'm really happy. To me, I'm just like a kid in, a candy store, just smiling happily because the discovery is a lot of fun. I'm a teacher by profession. So when people discover things, it just makes me happy. And I know many people have decided that they're going to fight me on every point on the channel. You're fighting the wind. I'm telling you guys that this transition is coming so fast. I've been waiting since 2016 for this to come up. But the moment PlayStation and Xbox decided that they were going to pit their consoles against PC hardware, that's where they made the most critical mistake, because PC hardware flies so fast. Like, it transitions in a blink of an eye. Everything that you thought was expensive or the best thing becomes the worst thing, becomes cheap. And console has 7 to 8 years before it changes. So in that 7 to 8 years, it continues to get less and less and less and less viable in terms of it being a competitive hardware. And with the new generation, it's not going to be able to keep up. Just imagine right now, all of the high-end CPUs that are on the market currently for $500. These things used to be thousands of dollars. The CPUs that we have today for $500, they used to cost like $2,000 before, until AMD came in and basically changed up the whole market. These CPUs are going to be about $100 in the next 4 or 5 years. People are going to be able to get their hands, and no console is going to put that CPU in there. Why? Because a CPU with 16 cores, 32 threads is not needed for gaming, but people are going to be able to get their hands on that stuff for $100, 120, 150. How do I know? I sold my Ryzen 930 900X. I had two. I sold one of them because I wanted to go to 5900X. A guy said, "Hey, I'll buy it without the fan." I sold it for like $240 on eBay. Those things are going to drop. Do you know what happens when somebody gets their hands on something like that for gaming? Man, it's going to be so much fun to just see how consoles eventually just become a convenience thing or become a side note, because different conversation. Just let's not worry about that. All right, Doc, keep talking.
Which apparently I didn't even know that people had made the mistakes of connecting it to the motherboard before. So I connected it to the right place anyways, and it was perfectly fine.
That's the reason, is because they probably didn't know. They saw the HDMI cable and they wanted to use the integrated graphics, but it's not a thing in many of these chips. They don't have integration. Well, it's probably disabled, or maybe they don't build it with that in mind. But AMD does have some that have the integrated gaming graphics, the Vega, but those are different type of CPU specs.
That's one of the things that can be different between PC and console, is that console is literally dumbed down as possible. Like, you can't really mess that up at all. And for PC, for the most part, if you're paying attention, you're not going to mess it up. But some things can mess up, okay? The other issue that I had was that when I connected my PC to my display, it's a 4K display, my PC doesn't care that my intent was to play at 1080p. So the display, it's a 4K display, so it's automatically going to play games and show everything at 4K, right?
Yes.
So it can play games at 4K, but it's gonna cripple my FPS, which is the reason why I got the PC anyways. It's an easy fix. You just go into the options of the game and you change the resolution. So for me, I play all my games at 1080p, right? And I knew that that's what I got this PC for, and everyone's telling me that this PC should be perfectly fine for 1080p.
Oh, this PC is definitely fine. I mean, you have the Ryzen 5 something. That CPU can power 4K gaming, Doc. If you change, when you decide you want to upgrade, because that 7600 eventually a 4K GPU is gonna hit the $300 mark. Mark my words. It's gonna not maybe not. It won't be under three. It'll be like 300. In fact, honestly, I say is going to because I want to be nice, but I don't want to show all the secret sauce in these videos. Or maybe I should. When it's time for you to upgrade that particular GPU, when you want to actually, go 4K, you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to touch $1,000 on that GPU. You can stay in the $400 mark for that GPU. This is when the new consoles come out. Instead of running to the store to go buy yourself a, PS5 Pro or PS6 or whatever, don't even touch that CPU. Go get yourself like a 6800 XT used on the market, or 7800, or by then those 7900 7900 XTs on AMD side will start to come down. It's AMD that you're going to use. AMD makes a huge slew of gaming GPUs at multiple different prices. Let's go ahead and see if I can actually find you something on Best Buy that I know would touch 4K. That's the thing. Is it going to touch 4K will be the question that you're more than likely going to be asking. So I know that the 69, it's not the 6900, it's the 6800 Ryzen RX 6800, not the, well, let's do the 6800 XT. I have this GPU. When I bought this GPU, it was a 1440 It was marketed as a 1440 GPU. But a lot of games have been coming out the door more optimized in terms of PC ports, less demanding, and even the ones that were demanding that push these games have gotten a lot of optimization over time. So if you look at their metrics from when they launched and look at their metrics now, it's easy to power through 4K gaming with this graphics card. Some games are heavy based on textures and all that. Yeah, like if you try to play the PlayStation games, they'll give you problems. I bought this graphics card for the equivalent of about $460. I think I paid $519, and I got 3 games with it. Not this specific one. I got an MSI one. MSI is about to leave making graphics cards for AMD, so I guess I'm probably going to be one of the lucky ones that still holds my... I used to have another RX 480, was MSI too, so I guess I get to keep the MSI as a thing. But you for $400, brand new, and it's gonna go down. Why? Because the 7800 XT is providing market pressure on the 6800 XT. So you don't have to spend the extra 120, and you're gonna be sitting at 4K. Even though it's marketed as a 1440 card, you will now get yourself what we call almost an entry-level 4K card for a third of the price of what you pay for a 4090. Now, 4090 is designed to blaze through 4K and not look back. This one is going to be there holding 4K, maybe fighting with some games, maybe not be able to hit 4K on some games, but 1440, it's a guaranteed win on almost every title that comes out the door, playing and, doing very well. So that's just one thing I wanted to go ahead and add to, like, just the first 4 minutes of your video. You are in a world of fun when it comes to PC gaming. Like, you are about to become a geek, but take your time. Enjoy the process. You're going to enjoy the things that that you start discovering. You're going to, I strongly believe, you're going to eventually just stay vested in it. You may not necessarily it's not easy to dive into. There's a part of you that's going to feel like it's missing, because your console is going to still be something where you hold some things dearly. But if you really want to stick with it, you just have to say, oh, it's part of the whole thing. It's part of the whole process. I still have my PlayStation 5, and I still play, the Division 2 on there. That's, people ask me, so when was the last, one of my audience members was like, when's the last console game you played? Division 2. I played basically almost all the time when I fire up my console. I play it frequently, in the rotation of games. But, there's still going to be games you play on console. There are people whom who are friends with you, who you hang out together. And this is a communication device that you kind of have, kind of a time spending device that, with some cool friends. Yeah, embrace the whole process. It's not like you're going to really miss out on anything at the end of the day, but you will see a whole different side of gaming that just requires a little bit more of pushing yourself past the curve, in a sense, if you get what I mean. So I was on Twitter. I was looking up all the drama going on with Stellar Blade and watching the weather forecast for storms that have been passing through the Midwest. And then I just happened to just see your video. So I just stopped and said, hey, man, you asked me to open up this stuff and talk more about it. And so I'm going to take the time to honor that. So shout out to you, Doc Dark. Thanks so much for watching the video, guys. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. And hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.